Hello, hello, hello. Who's in the chat? Identify yourself. Identify yourself in the chat. Happy Friday, everybody. Susanna. Oh, Susanna, how are you doing tonight? I was kind of hoping we could drag some non-vegans in the chat and debate them. And then you guys could help me. Go a few rounds with some non-vegans. Happy Friday to Susanna. How is it down in Texas this evening? Hot. It's not too bad here in Vancouver. I think the temperature is roughly a nice 18 degrees. That's actually Celsius though. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I just got in, I was teaching yoga. Yoga. Do they do yoga in Texas, Susanna? I don't think they do. I don't think yoga is one of those things that they do down in Texas, or I could be wrong. I think I heard you say that before. Hot yoga in Texas, Liv says. Yeah. Hot yoga. I'm not a big fan of hot yoga. Although if you're doing yoga in Texas, it would be hot because it's so hot there. But those hot rooms, they don't do it for me. They're too hot. Liv, do you do hot yoga? Slightly vegan. Are you here in Vancouver? I should know that. I'm having an evening beverage. Oh, ballet. I think there's a lot of like dancers, former dancers in yoga classes these days. They like to move, but they can't move like they used to. So they're drawn to yoga, usually like the strong power classes. San Diego, nice. San Diego, ooh, nice and warm down there. The San Diego Zoo. Now you just walk. Yeah, I was teaching yoga tonight at the YWCA. I suppose there is a YWCA in the United States. I'm sure there is. It's probably American that's made its way to Canada. But I've been volunteering my time at the YMCA and the YWCA teaching yoga. I don't get paid for it, but it's just something nice to do for volunteer reasons. And I was having a really interesting conversation with some of they're all ladies at this YWCA. I'm the only guy in the class. And there's like this power struggle between those that are super strong and those that just want to sort of hang out, not move too much. So I'm trying to find a middle ground between everybody just to make it enjoyable for all. It is a great activity. It really is. Yeah, I actually do it every morning. I have like a morning Ashtanga yoga practice. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with having a whole room of women. Love women. I love women. Women are amazing. They're awesome. And I say that absolutely sincerely. Some of my favorite people that, you know, like that I've worked for or worked with are women. I get along with women, I think. No, I won't say I get along. I get along with men really well too, but I get along with women well, I think. Always have. 18 degrees Celsius now. In San Diego, slightly vegan? Because if that's the case, it's the same temperature there as it is here, which is kind of strange. Or is that the temperature in Vancouver? I can't tell. So what do you do in San Diego? What do people do in San Diego? Probably go to the beach, probably wear sunscreen, and I don't know. San Diego is wonderful. I've heard it's amazing. I have heard it is amazing. I guess you can't guest in this thing, can you? I can't guest people in this. Does anybody know? I don't think you can. It's not like YouNow. Remember YouNow? You could bring people in and guest them and put them on the hot seat and talk to them. And I always found that quite interesting. I thought it was colder. I bike a lot. Biking is good. I'm not a big fan of biking. I find it's dangerous. I live downtown, and just cycling around all of the motor vehicles kind of scares me, I have to say. Look at all these vegans. You're all vegans in the chat. Everybody's vegan. We need a non-vegan so we can debate him or her. I live in a downtown condo like you. Yeah, I love downtown condo living. It's awesome. I mean, I own a vehicle, but I hardly ever drive it because you walk everywhere, right? You just step out your door, coffee shops, restaurants, cafes. It is an amazing way to live, in my opinion. But I do have friends who have houses in sort of the burbs, and it's always fun to go visit them, hang out. They've got backyards, have barbecues, that sort of thing. It's awesome. But there is something about not having to mow a lawn. There's something nice about being so close to everything, especially if you live in a great city. San Diego, I hear, is really good. Vancouver is amazing too. Slightly vegan is an omnivore. Oh, shame. I'm just kidding. Omnivores. Oh, yeah, because you're slightly vegan. I remember the conversation. Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot on YouTube. I've been so busy with yoga, my God. And I was kind of hoping to get back to making videos on a more regular basis, but, you know, there's your debate partner. Slightly vegan, am I going to debate you? I don't think so. I think we already have sort of a common understanding, even though you eat a little meat on the side. You know, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but as vegans, sometimes you sort of have these existential moments. You're like, why the fuck am I vegan? Like, why am I not eating meat? Like right now I'm craving, I'm not saying right now, me right now, but you'll have these moments where you're like, God, I'd like a piece of chicken. And then you're like, no, I don't think so. And it's not a moment of desperation where you think you're going to break. It's just these sort of moments where you just sort of get a thought in your head, right? And you're like, I could eat meat if I wanted to. You kind of forget that. You have the option after a while. But you do. You always have the option. But I prefer not eating meat. I think it's a default, eh? Like once you stop eating meat, you just get into this default. And it's a good default, I think. Especially where you hear about, even if you don't care about the animals, the issues with the environment. I mean, now they're saying basically that it's beef, raising beef, that is the major source of climate change. Is that true? That's what I heard that on the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation radio this morning, and they were talking about, as funny as it might sound, the Beyond Meat burger, which I had in my last video or 2 videos ago, and they were saying that more people are flocking to those products even though they're not vegan because it's so, a lot of people are very environmentally conscious, right? And I guess word is on the street that raising cattle is worse than driving a vehicle. Slightly Vegan says, I ate 165 grams of beef today. A slice of bacon, 1 egg, 50 grams of sour cream, and 20 grams of cheese. Oh my God. That is a lot of animal. You single-handedly are destroying the planet, aren't you? Congratulations. Congratulations, Slightly Vegan. But think of the horrible cruelty and just stick with it. Yeah, you know what? I have to admit I do and I don't. Don't hate me for that. I'm not sure if I am really caught up in the individual animal suffering. Like, I don't sit and I know some vegans do, and I feel terrible for them. It must be horrible to really contemplate the actual pain and anguish that individual animals are feeling. I don't feel that. I've never equated animals to humans. I've never gone there. I'm sort of just starting to come around to animal rights as opposed to animal welfare. But you don't have to, whether you do or you don't. I don't think it's a big issue. I think the main thing is that you just in your heart know that it's wrong, right? And that's where it begins and that's where it ends. I ate 40% fat today, 40% carb, 20% protein. Yeah, I'm actually doing that. Oh my God. I am starting to lower my carb intake. How many of you guys have tried that or felt the need to do it? Be honest here. I really want to know. Because for the past 7 years, I've had some real trials with my vegan diet. Like, it hasn't been easy all the time. And I feel good. Like, mentally, I feel really, really good eating carbs. But I have to tell you, it puts a bit of a havoc on my digestive system. So lately, what I've been doing is eating a lot of tofu, a lot of just fatty foods. And I feel guilty because I'll go into a grocery store and I'll look at like the Beyond Meat burger and think maybe I'll eat that tonight, but I don't think that's healthy. I want to be healthy, but I also don't want to feel like I've got a Buddha belly. And I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but at least when I eat a lot of beans and rice, potatoes, starchy, carby stuff, and I like to eat a lot, I'm going to be first to admit it, I find that it makes me feel really bloated. And sometimes I don't feel 100% full, right? But when I eat like high protein, high fat, I always feel like more satisfied. Higher fat, higher protein has helped me lose weight. Slightly Vegan, I agree. Yeah, Susanna says it's not good for your mental health to only think about animal suffering. I agree, Susanna. I totally am, I can't say I empathize, but I totally am understanding to people who are so empathic to animal suffering, but I don't think that's healthy. I know I can't watch animals being hurt, in a movie or what have you. I'll turn it off. But I don't sit and think about animals, in that manner, just sort of out there abstractly. That's not how I think of things. And you're right. Why would you, misery is optional. I mean, you can think about, little children being hurt. You can think about your parents being hurt. There's lots of things that you could contemplate, right? So you have control over what thoughts you put into your mind. To the most, part, you can say, I'm not going to think about that, or I'm going to choose to think about this instead. And I think choosing to contemplate the actual suffering and harm to animals is just, you know, I don't see the point to it. Who is absolutely not vegan in the chat? That's what I want to know. Are you not vegan? If you're not vegan, please identify yourself. Have the courage to identify yourself. PBN released a video on the abuse at a company that provides for Fairlife. Huh. Can you elaborate on that, Liv? I'm half understanding what you're saying and half not. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people on YouTube, I won't mention any names, who really, you know, just emote so much on that side of it. And, you know, it just, I can't relate. I'm sorry, I just can't relate to it. Susanna saw the video as well. I want to know more about this video. PBN released a video on the abuse at a company that provides for dairy. So in a dairy, oh, I see. In it, you mean in a dairy facility, they were showing the abuse. Oh, I heard about that. Yes. I heard about it. I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. Yeah, I think it's disgusting. Oh my God, I don't think about it, but if I was there witnessing it, I'd have to like scream and holler, and I don't know. I'd have to do something. And maybe that makes me, you know, less. The fact that I'm not focused on it and thinking about it constantly, I don't know. Maybe we should, but it's just not for me. It is not for me. Liv says she'd like an hour alone with those abusers. Liv, you sound to me like you're a little bit of, you got a little bit of, you know, violence in you there. I don't know. B12 Blaze It Vegan says, I try to think about it enough to be motivated. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, you got to find your motivation, right? And, you know, you get on this vegan track and then you have to, from time to time, ask yourself why you're doing it. Like I said earlier, if you're just entering the stream now, you know, you get these existential moments where you're thinking, well, do I really want to be vegan? And, you know, do I want to stay vegan? Especially been vegan for many, many years, you know. In one sense, you just fall into it. And then in another sense, like I said, you get those moments where you sort of wake up and go, oh, I guess I could actually stop being vegan at any time if I wanted to. And then you find your motivations. You find out why you came to it in the first place. I think I've mentioned in some of my past videos that the main motivation for me was just getting into yoga. And in yoga, there's this thing called ahimsa, which is nonviolence. It's Sanskrit for nonviolence. And I just felt like if I was going to be practicing yoga, I wanted to be really honest on the mat. So basically, that's what got me there. And I've been practicing yoga almost every day since that time. And, you know, if I'm doing yoga, I'm not eating meat. You know, I mean, that's probably it for me. And that's probably why I don't have to contemplate pain and suffering in one of these facilities, because I just go to my mat, and that's what I get. That's my motivation, right? Ahimsa, Liv says, yes. Yeah, right? I mean, come on. Even when I started the starch solution, I knew I'd never be vegan. The starch solution, I think, Susanna, you've tried starch solution before too, right? John McDougall's plan. I tried that, and quite honestly, it's like, I felt weird eating so many friggin' potatoes, you know? And I think that the extreme emphasis on carbohydrate and the I don't want to say fear. I don't think anybody's creating any fear, but the, you know, steering away of fat is, to me, I don't think that's a very healthy thing for me personally. But anyway, that's just my own personal view. Liv says, but I can also understand that we're part of the nitrogen cycle. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think I know what you mean by that. we all got to find our ethical and dietary balance. I agree. I think that's hard to extend for some vegans. I think some vegans, because it's vegan or nothing, right? Not all vegans. I think some vegans are a little more open and understanding. But any animal use is abuse to some vegans, and that means that any animal products being consumed by any human is unacceptable. And that is a philosophy that a lot of vegans carry. But like I said, that's not something that I think life is way too nuanced for that. And, if I had been vegan since I was born and, was perfect myself, then I guess I could start throwing shots at people, but I'm not perfect. And, for most of my life, I ate meat. So I'm the last to be, calling people out. Not going to call anybody out. But that's just my own personal viewpoint. That's my own personal perspective. Is anybody having a beverage? This is delicious. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? What is it? India Pale Ale. India Pale Ale. Can I have beer on my live streams? I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to. It's just one. I'm like, come on. It's Friday. I worked hard. After class today, I kind of worked them hard because it's a new class, and they used to have a teacher who was really easy on them, and I'm not easy. I like to push. I like to push my students in school, and I like to push people when I'm teaching yoga. And they were, at the end, they were pretty tired. And I said, great, now you get to go home and eat all your favorite food and maybe have a beer or a glass of wine. And oh my God, they were laughing. You could tell that connected with them. They were like, yep, I'm going home and I'm eating and drinking. Philip says he's seen people do drunk live streams. Yeah, that is not me. Although having said that, I'll be right back. I'm going to get another one. I would like another one. Grab one yourselves, guys. Here is to your health. This one is Mill Street. Mill Street Organic Lager, which I haven't checked to see if it's vegan. There's a website that you can go onto, and it will list all of the beer and wine companies that are exclusively vegan. B12 Blaze at Vegan says, I'll drink some bong water. You have your bong water, no judgment. You guys know that it's legal? THC is legal in Canada now. And we have a facility like 2 streets away from my building that sells THC capsules. Susanna says, I don't drink, but isn't all beer vegan? I don't think it is. Susanna, I think there's a part of the brewing process that uses a filter. So there's a filtration system, and that filter is sometimes made from bone char. So it's not 100, but there's no animals floating in I don't think, in my beer. Yeah, Philip, actually I have some, but I'm not going to show it on here. And they look like vitamin E capsules, but inside there's an oil. It's a THC oil. Paul Encinius says vegans can only smoke indoor because outdoor cultivation can and does cause our animal harm. Ooh, seriously? Paul, are you serious? I can't tell if you're serious. Vegans can only smoke indoors because outdoor cultivation can and does cause animal harm. I can't tell. Charles Marlowe is in the house. You know you've got a live stream going when Charles Marlowe enters the stream. Yes, no smoke indoor, grown weed. Huh. That's interesting. That's interesting, Paul. Cheers. Cheers, brother. Yeah, it is the vegan cheetah himself. It is him. I meant weed grown outside is not vegan. Oh, okay. Paul, how am I supposed to follow you if you're not going to say what you mean? You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. You know what I'm saying? I meant weed grown outside is not vegan. Is that because the animals, I got to understand this, Paul. Is that because the animals could eat the weed and get high? Wouldn't that be good? Or maybe that's not good. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Is it like not vegan to let the animals get a little buzz? I don't know. Plants live. Lizard King says plants lives matter. Yeah, I know. It's a troll argument. Yeah, probably a little bit. But it's interesting. No, because harvest of any plant cause mice and the such to die. Ooh. Oh, and the harvest. I see. Well, you know, someone's got to die, right? I mean, come on. You know, you can't, there's no utopia that I'm aware of. Isn't veganism about harm reduction? There's no way you're going to ever eliminate 100% harm and you know, pain and suffering. That's not possible. But I don't think that's what veganism is, right? Veganism is. I think veganism is the effort to reduce as possible and practicable. Isn't that the words used by the Vegan Society? I don't know. Cannabis is harvested by hand. Yeah, what if it's in your backyard? If it's in your backyard, it's totally fine. As far as possible and practicable. Susanna, did you read that? That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You just do your best, right? You do your best. And usually grown in hydroponic warehouses. Yeah. It's a plant. Plants are vegan. Angry Vegan says plants are vegan. Not all plants, because when I first opened my channel, if I went to type in plant eats, it showed plants that ate animals. Finally, after a while, my little YouTube channel, my shitty little YouTube channel migrated up to the top. So if you type in, say 5 years ago, you typed in plant eats, you would see plants eating animals. Now you see me, but then you see all these plants eating animals. So there you go. Venus flytrap, exactly. So not all plants are vegan, apparently. I don't know. I could be wrong on that one. Plants have feelings, and they want to get you high. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Did you guys see that movie years ago with Mark Wahlberg? I think it was called The Happening. If you saw the movie The Happening, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 if you saw The Happening. Angry Vegan says, I stand corrected. Philip says, I think the beer is bringing out your Canadian accent, eh? Yeah, I think so too. B12 Blaze It Vegan says, love The Happening. Oh my God, me too. That was awesome. So who is the other one? Zoe Deschanel, was that her name? And if you are a person of a certain age, you will know at the end there was a cameo by a very famous woman from the 1970s. I won't say her name, but I'll give you the initials, and I'll be impressed if someone knows this. BB. It was at the end of the movie The Happening with Mark Wahlberg, I always call him Marky Mark, and Zoe Deschanel. And at the end, there was a woman. She has a small part at the end of the movie, and her initials are BB. B. And if someone knows it, I will send you right now. I will FedEx you $100. I won't really. I'm just kidding. Philip says he still hasn't seen it. B12 Blaze at Vegan says Bugs Bunny in a dress. Well, it is BB. No, it's a good guess, but no. And I'll also give you one more hint. This woman, it was a woman, was in a TV show in the 1970s, and the TV show involved 8 children. No, it wasn't Bridget Bardot. No. And I will also tell you, did anybody see the movie Carrie? The original Carrie in the 1970s. If you did, this woman also starred in the movie Carrie. Not a big role, but she had a role. Nobody knows. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Come on. Someone's got to know. Not Brian De Palma. No, it was a woman. The show was 8 is Enough. Yes. And I can see her face, but I can't come up with her name. Okay, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. The first name is the same name as the best friend of Wilma in the Flintstones. Yes, Betty Buckley. Betty Buckley for the win. Live the dream wins. Ding, 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 ding. Well done. Betty Buckley. She's amazing. She's unbelievable. She really is. She was in a movie recently. I'm trying to remember which one it was. She's always got these cameo roles. And, you know, if you're a child of the 60s and 70s, you'll remember her. She's such an attractive woman. She was married to the dad in 8 is Enough, if you guys remember. And she was the second wife. So she was the stepmother to these 8 kids. And she rocked. She rocked. Elizabeth says I was typing it at least. Oh, a little movie trivia. Not vegan, but you know, it's Friday night movie trivia, I guess. Put a 1 in the chat if you're imbibing. If you're imbibing, put a 1 in the chat. Is she Canadian? I don't know. It's possible she is. You know, I mean, all the best actors and actresses are, right? It's possible she is Canadian, but I can't say that 100. I don't think she is. I think she's American. I think she played Grisabelle in Cats on. She probably did, yeah. Something tells me that she has a high level of respect in the acting community because she gets these really juicy parts. They're not big parts, but they're smaller parts. And she acts the shit out of them. I think she, yeah. If you're in the chat right now, put a like on this video, please. Put a like on this chat. Come on, there's only 2 likes. So do we have a non-vegan that's willing to step up and do some debating in the chat? Who's like full on animal in the house? Yeah, don't forget to like. You got to give it a little like, you know, a little love. It's a little love. Does anybody know if in this live stream that you can do, I don't think you can you do guesting? Does anybody know? Does anybody know if we can do guesting in this chat facility? Or is that only something that you can do on YouNow? Excuse me. I'm sure we all know all of their arguments. That's true. We do. I know. What are the best arguments that people who eat meat make? How non-vegan? Charles Marlowe, yes, if he's still in the house, he's not vegan. Oh my God, guys, what up with his videos? He's like that Schweringe, or whatever the hell you pronounce it. Charles Marlowe is now making anti-vegan propaganda, I think. What do you guys think? I don't want to beat up on him. There are no good arguments against veganism. Okay, can I play devil's advocate? Will you hate me if I play devil's advocate? How anti-vegan is Charles? I don't know about guesting. I don't think so either. I don't think he can guest in the YouTube streaming. You know what? When people say I eat animals because it's legal and I enjoy it and I don't eat animals too often, then I don't know if I have a big pushback on that. I don't know. If someone is saying that they believe it's okay for them, if they believe it, if a person believes that it's okay to eat animals, then I don't know. I don't know if I really want it. I like to try to just be myself, and just maybe over time they notice the behavior of a vegan and they go, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something to that. This guy's not slapping me around and, you know, doing his own thing, and he does it year in, year out, right? Maybe there's something to it. Still able to keep his girlish figure and all that stuff after all those years, and I'm getting fatter and fatter. maybe it's the, you know, that the ego. Maybe it's, you know, that stuff that makes people think about it. I don't know. Oh, the best argument is nihilism. There are no good arguments against veganism. Can you expand on that one? I think you can live stream with Google Hangouts with a guest. Ooh, I should think about that in the future. How would you do that? Would I have to like go in and sign up to something for live streams in Google? That sounds complicated. Yeah, I've heard of that argument before. What is it? Nihilism? Nihilism. Nihilism. I have no problem with meat eaters. I was not put on this planet to judge, and I give my best positives for being vegan and vegetarian, because vegetarian is 95% vegan, and then it's up to them. That's a good point. I made a video a long time ago about that, where you know, like in The Simpsons, where there's like what was it? Like the level D vegan. What was it? I can't even remember now. But there's stages of veganism. Well says, I need meat. Grandma Meter says, just joining. This is fun. Hey, Grandma. I think I saw your message where you said you were hoping to be able to join the live chat. So welcome to the live chat. Oh, yeah. Thank you, B12. Yeah, so the idea that nothing matters, I'm not sure I subscribe to that. I think my personal philosophy, if you care to know, is that if you believe something in your heart of hearts, and I don't mean to say you've been brainwashed to believe something. I mean you have thought about it, educated yourself. I'm fully willing to accept the fact that you can have two people in their right minds seeing the world in very different ways. One is not sick and the other one healthy. They're both healthy. They're both educated. They're both thoughtful. They both have the ability to be empathic and understand and care and love and the whole thing. And one of them thinks it's important not to eat animals, and the other thinks it's okay. I truly believe that it can land there. And if that's the case, then the person who chooses to eat animals, if they truly believe that it's okay in their own personal moral code, then that's a hard thing to penetrate, right? And in my opinion, the only thing that if you really want to affect change is to simply, you know, just demonstrate it through your actions, in my opinion. Hi, kiddo. Grandma says, yes, I cannot believe this is the first time I've gotten to be part of the live chat. Thank you. It's so good to have you in the chat, Grandma Meters. It's awesome. Am I pronouncing it right, Meters? I think you have to be mentally ill to subscribe to. I agree. So this idea of nothing matters seems really strange to me. It's really, you know, where's the art and soul in that, you know? We're born encoded with morals, aren't we? That's a good question. Are we born with moral codes? I mean, I think we're born with a capacity to acquire moral tendencies, but I don't know if we're born to believe that this is right or this is wrong. I think there definitely are gray areas. Over time. Different cultures have different perspectives on various things that we think of as good or bad in our current society, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily, you know, like for instance, when is a human being considered to be grown up? Well, now we've got people living in their friggin' parents' basement at the age of 30. It's pathetic. But there was a time when people were having children at the age of 14, 15, and 16. So we don't see things exactly the same way. Things evolve and change over time. But, you know, what's right, what's wrong? I guess it really is the context of the situation. But most people could not kill a living animal. I agree. If you ask someone to go out and get their own animal to eat, I think most people would say, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take the you know, I'm gonna take the vegan burger. I'm gonna take the Beyond Meat burger, which, by the way, tastes so much like actual meat. I've heard from some people who say that they won't even eat it because it tastes too much like meat. It's so convincing. Hindus found it perfectly acceptable to burn widows until the Brits outlawed it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not sure if, yeah, it's a point. It's a point to be said. Morals under chair, not nature, and unless someone is a doctor, they can't make the argument that you just did. I wouldn't hate to think at the end of my life I disliked someone simply because of what they... Oh, I'm only getting parts of that, Elizabeth. Would I solution and more healthy and fair and most, is it nihilists? Is that how you pronounce it? I think it is nihilists. Are selective about it anyway. Of course, they care about something. Of course, how on earth can you live your life and not care about anything? I don't understand that. Fight a cow and you might get hurt. It's fair. I don't know. The cows that I've ever seen, they all look stoned. They look like they're sitting around eating magic mushrooms. I've heard in some parts of the South that as sort of a form of fun and entertainment, people will push cows over. That's terrible. I don't think that's I think that's an American thing. I don't think it's a Canadian thing. Sorry, my American friends. I go to Del Taco or Carl's Jr. They screw up orders all the time. Angry Vegan says, like Gary Yourofsky said, there's people who judge and there's people who lie about judging. Ooh, good one. People who judge and there's people who lie about judging. That's deep. That's very deep. Yeah. I mean, I guess what you're suggesting there is that, or what Gary Yourofsky was saying was that we all judge. Some of us are just unwilling to admit it. I think that's what the point is. I wish I could hunt with a spear. just like it went down for ages. Yeah, I'm just not a hunter. I couldn't. I mean, I could if I had to. If I was starving to death, then I could and I would. But going hunting with my grandfather on the weekend is not something that's interesting to me at all. Children who hurt animals is okay. If not, then we're born knowing right from wrong. Children who hurt animals is okay. Yeah, I don't know if children necessarily, unless they're sociopathic, have a tendency to hurt animals. All the children that I've ever seen around animals is that all they want to do is hold them and love them and play with them like they're dolls or something like that. I've never seen children with tendencies to want to hurt animals. Although I have heard stories of people like Jeffrey Dahmer and those sorts of, weirdos who will. But then they end up wanting to hurt humans, right? My point with the Hindus' comment was that different cultures have arrived at different moral standards. So I don't think we're born with some absolute moral code hardwired in. I agree. 1,000, I guess my reaction, sorry, I probably had sort of a negative reaction earlier about that, is that it's sort of a contemporary comparison. So if you look at moral values in, say, the United States and compare that to the moral values in another part of the world in the same year, in the same time, I find that more interesting than sort of looking at moral change over time. But then again, even when you look at different cultures, you're going to have some issues because you could argue that some countries are, back in the Middle Ages, but I won't say which ones or what I mean by that. I would respect the deer instead of eating meat like a hyena. We used to shoot BB guns as kids. Most kids did not want to shoot and kill birds. Oh my gosh, I have a story. Story time. I actually have a twin brother. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned that to you guys or not, but I have a twin brother, and when we were growing up, I'm going to say we were 11 at the time. And we're at my cousin's, and they had a farm, and we had BB guns. And my brother was fascinated with his BB gun, and he was aiming it at this bird, and he never really thought he would hit the bird. Then he hits the bird, kills the bird, who has babies. There was a nest, and the babies didn't have a mother anymore. He cried. He felt like a piece of shit. It was hilarious. Not hilarious that the bird had to die, but hilarious that, right on. At least I was like, right on. My brother is not a psychopath. Yes, that's right, Grandma. I danced a while back with my brother. There is a video showing he and I dancing together. Yes, Susanna, I have a twin brother who I'm going to go visit tomorrow. It's my nephew's birthday tomorrow, and they live in Richmond. If you guys know Vancouver area, they live in Richmond, and it's about a half an hour drive from downtown Vancouver, and I'm going to go hang out with him. He turned 13 2 days ago. My nephew is 13 years old. You should do a swap-a-roo one day with your twin and see if we can tell the difference. You would not even, no, we don't look at all alike. We look very different. No, we didn't break dance. There was no break dancing. But no, I have to tell you guys, I'm a teacher, as I've said several times, and I have twin girls in one of my classes, and they're in. Sorry, it's one grade, but they're in different classes. Well, one day last week or the week before, they switched. Do you think I knew? I did not know. They came to me and they were laughing. They said, "Mr. Randall, we have to tell you something." I said, "What is it?" They said, "We actually switched classrooms and you didn't even notice." So I kind of felt bad because I didn't notice. Not identical, no. Fraternal twins, fraternal twins. Our teeth are designed to eat meat, just like chimps and my neighbors. I'm not sure if I agree with that one. Because I don't know, like our teeth, I don't know if my teeth are made to eat raw flesh. But obviously you can eat meat if it's cooked right. If it's tenderized, then you can do that. But Liv's getting angry at well. Liv says you're a dum-dum. Love it. Well, then why do we intrinsically know that stealing, murdering, lying, cheating, etc. is wrong? That's why I think we're born with a moral code. If not, then we're all psychopaths. Yeah, I get what you mean by that, Kelly. I think, no, and I don't know if I was disagreeing with that point. I think we're all born, okay, this is my personal philosophy. I think that in all of us, there is a capacity for empathy. And if you are brought up in an environment where things are good and there's boundaries and love and caring, and there isn't a lot of fear and violence, I think your empathy muscle can grow quite quickly in your life. And I think with that empathy, you have a natural, like you say, Kelly, intrinsic perspective on morality. But there's lots of people who are brought up in countries where fear and corruption are the name of the game. So, I think that can get tarnished. That's my perspective. It can get tarnished. Yeah. I think it's learned. If you were raised by parents that taught you that stealing was necessary for survival, you would have a totally different mindset. I agree. I think that, Susanna, I agree. I think I don't want to sound politically incorrect here, but I work with young people and no, I'm not going to say it. I'll say something else instead. I have a theory. I think that if you're brought up in a communistic society or a society where there's a great deal of corruption, and you've lived under that sort of umbrella most of your life, then your perspective on the world is very different than someone who's brought up in Canada or the United States. Because in those countries, think about it, the way to become successful is to beg, borrow, and steal. And it's not how you get to the top, it's that you get to the top in those countries sometimes. Whereas in Canada and the United States, there's an emphasis on character. Angry Vegan says humans are not designed to bite through the fur and skin of a jackrabbit or elk. We also don't have the speed to chase a wild animal down like all true carnivores. Good point. I was raised by wolves and went vegan anyway. The wolves were pescatarians, though. Interesting. I have the speed. Try me. B12 says, I have the speed. Yeah, I mean, you know what? You can get all anthropological on this topic of veganism if you want to. You can say, oh, look at our teeth, look at our intestines, look at how fast we run or we don't. Isn't it simply that at the end of the day, it's not required to eat animals? We have such an abundance of food. And if you don't have to eat animals, then why would you eat animals? Like, I don't, at least largely speaking. I mean, if a person has, a little bit of cheese on occasion, I'm not suggesting that's the best way to go. But I mean, if a person is largely taking animal foods out of their diet, which more and more people are, why wouldn't you try to do that, angry men hunters chase down animals until it's tired. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, are men more likely to be hunters or women, or is it equal? Grandma, am I saying your name right? Meters? Grandma Meters or Meters? I'm having my 2-year vegan anniversary in 7 days and enjoy life and people so much. So many people are eating more vegan because grandma is cooking. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That is amazing. 2 years, that is so amazing. I'm so like, I love it. I love it. Someone at work said that they didn't climb to the top of the food chain to eat lettuce wraps. And I'm over here eating a nice, healthy bowl of spaghetti with veggies and vegan meatballs. I know. I know. It's all perspective. But, you know, at some point, this is all going to come down to environmentalism. We men are physically stronger and got other brains that are special in hunting and being aggressive. Yeah. Men are physically stronger on average, no question about that. But then I also look at the, you know, the testosterone behind that, right? Like if you just have to ask yourself, like, all that testosterone is driving men to make decisions that are of an aggressive nature. And I think that contributes to animal suffering, personally. I think there's more than enough testosterone in this world. And I know I don't want to sound like a man hater here. I am a man, but it would be nice if many men could explore the softer sides of their personality sometimes. We don't always have to celebrate testosterone. You know, female chimps who aren't reproductively viable hunt, according to Jane Goodall. Interesting. So yeah, well, that would be correlated with testosterone, maybe. I don't know. Not necessarily. If they're not able to reproduce, then maybe there has been some sort of, you know, chemical change. I don't know. I'm referring to hunting, not emotionally. Men are only stronger because they are brainwashed to be by the patriarchy. Interesting. I'm referring to hunting. I remember when I was at university taking an A&P lab class, AP lab. We were looking at male and female bones, and I remember the male hip bone being much bigger than the female one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't think anybody in the chat is going to argue against the fact that men are physically, on average, stronger. I'm not saying that, I mean, who cares, right? I mean, we live in a society where hopefully that doesn't really matter. But Well says, we men have way more urge to hunt and kill. I agree. I think it is, I do believe that males probably do have that aggressive element to them more so than women. You were so right about the environmental part of not eating meat. Ethics for me, but the world will see the need to go vegan due to the planet's need. The world's not healing. Yeah, I was mentioning this earlier in the chat that the Beyond Meat burger, they were talking about that on the news, and it wasn't the company, it was just a journalist who was saying that people are tapping into the fact that eating beef and growing beef is as damaging to the environment as driving a vehicle. Women can clean more rapidly than men. Uh-oh. That's going to get you in trouble. But I do know lots of men that hunt at the grocery store. I agree. I think there's lots of men who would, you know, let's be careful here. There's plenty of men these days that would not have the balls to put a gun in their arms and shoot an animal. They just wouldn't. Testosterone or no testosterone, there's lots of men, if they're not brought up to do that, they just don't have the drive to do that. My brother did a blind test at Del Taco, and he liked the Beyond better. Interesting. That's cool to know. Susanna, never seen boys playing war as a child and like to fight. I agree with that one. There's this sort of intrinsic behavior that I think boys have differently than girls when you watch them play. They will tend to be more aggressive. And I think that does come from testosterone. But I don't know if that necessarily always has to translate into wanting to kill animals, you know? What does that have to do with the urge to hunt and kill? Susanna asked. That's what I was just saying. I was hunting a little while ago. I stalked and obtained a huge watermelon. Yeah, go for the watermelons. Wouldn't mind shooting animals. Too lazy to clean and gut it, though. I don't think I would have the heart to do it. If I had a gun in my hand and there was a deer in my scope and it was all lined up and ready to go, even when I ate meat, I don't think I could have done it. I don't think I could have done it, because to me, I'm looking at this beautiful animal in the wild, and I don't think I have it. Call me, weak. I don't know, but I don't think I could do it. If you handled little girls' weights to lift instead of dolls, they wouldn't be just as big as boys. They would be just as big as boys, Paul says. PBN made a video where someone made a steak out of watermelon. Oh my God, that couldn't be good. That could not be good. It's biological. We men are better to hunt. Women can hunt too, but should ask first. Do you guys watch The View? Meghan McCain, apparently, she says that she likes to drink whiskey and shoot her gun and hunt. So I think if you ask some Republican women in the United States, they would have a problem with what you're saying there, Well. I'm guessing you're single, Well. He's been holding it in, Susanna. He can't say it to his girlfriend, so he's dumping it in the chat. We'll give him some venting space. You know what I'm saying? I do not like The View. They only fight for an hour, Grandma says. Grandma, that's why I watch it. People hunt because they enjoy the experience. That's why they hunt and go grocery shopping. Yeah, it's possible. I just don't see I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Hunting is a natural, Paul says, for humans because we are frugivores. What's a frugivore? Frugivore. What's frugivore? I watched a lot of hunters explain it. There's no logical justification for shooting a deer unless it was out of necessity. Carnists like to use might makes right as a justification and then complain if someone uses might makes right. I agree. That might makes right shit. I don't like that. I don't like it. I think it's very uncivilized. It shows lack of character. It shows lack of empathy and kindness and compassion. Well says, I would rather hunt and kill instead of the supermarket. I hate game hunting. Well, do you actually hunt? Are you a hunter? And what state or province do you hunt in? B12 says we're chocolatarians. Is that what frugivores are? Fruitarians? Reason to harm them or not a dog? It's a rush for them. I rather would let a deer live for 7 years in the wild before it meets me, instead of a cow that lived in hell for years. That's interesting. All true, but hunting may be more ethical than factory farming. Probably. I mean, everything depends on the context, right? But I think in general, people who hunt, if like I live downtown Vancouver. If I go hunting, I think that's equivalent to factory farming, isn't it? From the animal's perspective, if they're going to die, they're going to die. Factory farmed foods is for normies, but I still hate it. Trophy hunters exterminates this. Yeah, that's what I was going to talk. That's what I was wanted to mention. It was coming out all wrong. The trophy hunting. The trophy hunting I find is pretty disgusting. Hunting leads to extinction. It can. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. Just robbing someone might be more ethical than robbing and beating them, but two wrongs don't make a right. Yeah. I mean, at the end, like, look, the bottom line is if you don't have to hunt an animal, if you live in the wild, if you live exclusively in the wild and you're not participating in structured society, then I guess I can understand why people would be hunting and gathering for food. But otherwise, food is so accessible. I don't get it. Don't talk about tofu that way. I've heard hunters argue population issues like overpopulation of certain species if they're not hunted. Yeah, that's a hard one to debate. I mean, I know that we try to control populations of various species of animals, and that's to really look at the ecology from a global perspective. But I don't know. I just think you're playing God. I think if you let the forces be, the natural levels will probably find their way. Baked tofu is yum, especially if sriracha flavor. Yeah, that sounds really good. I actually love that sriracha sriracha tofu. It's that really firm tofu. It was in my last video. That's because humans kill the natural predators. Let nature take its course. Yeah, that's kind of the way I see it too. Let nature take its course. Evil men kill cats in the Australian outback. Interesting. Yeah. There was an interesting movie. Did you guys see the movie? It was in Australia. Oh, what was it called? Wild something? Where these young sort of early 20s people, they are traveling into the Australian outback. And then there's this like murderer that captures them and tortures them. And it's, I don't know, if you like horror movies, then you probably saw this movie. I think it has the word wild in it, in the title, Wild something. It was very good. Is anybody imbibing in the chat? Put a 1 in the chat if you're imbibing right now. Wild beaver, house cats, pure carnivore. Pure carnivory is total overkill. What are you drinking? I am drinking Mill Street Organic Lager. Can you see? And it's very good. It's very good. I was teaching yoga earlier, if you're just in the chat recently, and I wanted to treat myself. I've been doing a lot of volunteer work lately, like volunteer yoga teaching. I don't get paid for it. And I just wanted to treat myself to a couple of cans of beer, you know what I'm saying? Susanna's going to go grab a juice. Well says, yes, women, I am single. Well, are you proud of that? Liv added a comment there, which I will not repeat. Yeah, it is a different kind of movie, B12, Blaze It Vegan. It's a horror movie. It's a horror movie, and I do like horror movies, and, I just do. I think they're fun. I like beer, Angry Vegan says, but I'm avoiding it lately for weight loss. Well, you know, the summer's coming and you want to look good for the summer, right? I'm actually, yeah, that's why I'm getting on this like higher protein, higher fat diet. I just find that lowering the carbs is so effective at weight loss for me. I don't know if you guys, am I alone on that one, or can anybody sort of connect with that? Susanna says, I'm single too. Well, but I'm saving myself for Tim Sheaf. Yeah. Todd says, are you from Halifax? Sometimes you sound like an East Coaster. I'm actually from Moncton, New Brunswick. Yeah, so I'm from the East Coast. That's why I talk weird. Well, you don't know who Tim Sheaf is? Oh my gosh. Tim Sheaf is this guy who does, what is that called, Susanna, that athletic thing that he does? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, he's a former vegan and he gave up his veganism and he's parkour. That's it. Susanna knows parkour. Paul says, I go on a drug binge when I need to lose weight. I guess that's one way to do it. Yeah, Tim Sheaf he's an interesting character. I don't know. I'm certainly not negative on him. I know he's left veganism, but and I do have my viewpoints on it, but I'm certainly not you know, I'm not going to dog him, you know. Well, are you looking for a girlfriend in the chat? Apparently, well is handsome. Whoever is single. Dan lost his channel over turpentine. Who's Dan, Paul? Lost his channel. Well says he's not desperate. Oh, Sunfruit Dan. Sunfruit Dan lost his channel? Is there news there that I need to know about? So Sunfruit Dan lost his channel. When did this happen? Please let me know in the chat. I want to know. Does anybody know? Paul? What did he do with turpentine? Did he drink it? Inquiry minds want to know. Like a week ago. And the channel's down, is it? So, okay, so according to Paul, Sunfruit Dan, you guys probably know who Sunfruit Dan is if you're vegan. He's old school YouTube, right? He apparently drank turpentine and YouTube shut his channel down. Is that correct? Have I got that correct? Well, you know, speaking of drinking turpentine, what did Tim Sheaf encourage people to drink? What was Tim drinking? Susanna, are you still sort of fond on him? Yeah, exactly, Grandma. So, you know, oh my God. Told his viewers that they should drink it. That's smart. That's smart. Yeah, there's no place for that. There's no place for that. Fair enough. No judgment. No judgment. I would think that could lead to some serious indigestion. Some serious, you know, I just can't see myself drinking either of those substances personally. Although, says the guy who is drinking, God knows what's in this can, but it does taste good. A little sip of turp. might be okay once in a blue moon. There are too many unqualified people on YouTube giving health advice. You think? Oh my God. It's funny, when I began to shape my channel, that was, coming onto YouTube and making videos, starting to talk about like B12, and then all of a sudden I saw this crazy shit that was being said on various channels, and I thought, I got to weigh in on this. And of course, people like to hear about that. Oh, that's right. That's right, Susanna. Vegetable Police was drinking turpentine. Apparently it caught on. There are too many. Vegetable Police has this. Yeah. Oh, what to say? What to say? Do you guys remember the video he put out where he said that this was Vegetable Police, and he was talking a little bit about how we need to be more critical of the facts around World War II. That's all I want to say. I don't want to say any more. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Angry Vegan says the piss drinking thing might be a raw thing. I know a raw vegan who does that. It's pretty disgusting. Oh my God. Yeah. It cured everything for 2 weeks, B12 says. At least eat some fish. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I have to say. If I was going to eat anything, it wouldn't be fish. It would be chicken. I don't miss fish at all. Yeah, Slightly Vegan says anti-vegan YouTube is pure entertainment. It really is. And you know what the thing is, and the sad thing is that there's a lot of vegan YouTubers who make it so easy, right? They're easy targets, even by other vegans. Vegetable Police did it at a time he had difficulty differentiating between a teaspoon and a tablespoon of turpentine. Took 2 tablespoons. Quite honestly, I have to say, whether it's a teaspoon or 2 tablespoons, it's all sort of, kooky, crazy, minded bullshit. Fish are more healthy than meat, they say. Could be. Although I was watching a panel discussion with Dr. Kim Williams. He's the former president of the American Cardiology Association or something like that. And anyway, he had quoted some statistics on fish and how there were some negative correlations, some negative health correlations with eating fish. So I don't know. Nothing is healthy, Paul says. I agree. I know. Look, this is the thing. If you start to alter your diet, you say, okay, well, I'm going to start to reduce my carbohydrates because I'm getting a little bit of a Buddha belly. So you go to the grocery store and you're like, okay, well, what's high in fat and protein that's vegan? Okay, so I'm going to eat some tofu. Oh, I'm going to have some Beyond Meat burgers. Oh, I'm going to have some sausages. And then you're like, well, that shit's unhealthy, right? So you're caught between, I don't know. It's a tough one. Life's tough, isn't it? Nothingness does not exist. Ooh. Well, nothingness does not exist. That means that nothing doesn't exist. I'm not sure I agree with that. Well, the argument for that, if you will allow me, is that space has material. There's material to space. Space is not just void. And there are places where space does not exist beyond the edge of our universe. So you could argue in that regard that that is nothingness because there's no matter. Is this deep or a failure or the English language? When nothing is something, remember math. I think well is one of my students. I have a theory right now because that sounds like something I would say in my classroom. Do you crave those types of foods beyond burgers? And yes, I do, Elizabeth. I do. Oh my gosh, I had a Beyond Meat burger. I made a video about it about a week ago, and ever since then, all I can think about is the Beyond Meat burger. It's so delicious. It's so like juicy, like an actual burger. And all I could think about was that. Although I have to say, I do crave tofu too. I'm weird, you know, I have weird cravings. Well says, no, he is not. Okay, I'll trust that that's the truth. I often will ask students to prove that you can get something from nothing. And it's an easy proof. It's through using what we call algebra tiles, but I won't get into that because that's boring. I've eaten too many Beyond Burgers from A&W in the past year. They're about $7 a pop. Okay, two things to that one. Number one is I don't know if it's vegan to eat a Beyond Meat burger in A&W, which there you go. I'm being like stupid when I say that. And number two, I will agree with you. It is so friggin' expensive. You buy 2 patties in the grocery store, they charge you like $8. It's way too much money. I crave shredded wheat, B12 says. Seriously? That's just weird. Grandma says, yes, they are expensive. They're too expensive. But again, listening to that radio show, they were saying that we can expect the price to start to drop because as more competition enters the market, the prices are sure to drop within the next like 5 years or so, 3 to 5 years. I tried one from A&W too, Elizabeth says, just to see how close it was to real meat. I'm not vegan, by the way. Okay, fair enough. Oh, Elizabeth, sorry, I've got you mixed up with another Elizabeth. Sorry about that. DJC says, hello, I was just wondering, could I still come to your yoga class on Wednesday? Yes, who am I talking to? DJC? Who are you? Identify yourself, DJC. Oh, I think I know who you are. Are you a student, DJC? If you say you are, then I know who you are. And yes, of course you can. Yeah. Yes, you can. Susanna says, Yard House makes the best vegan burger. It's made of shiitake mushrooms, red quinoa, kale, etc. You know what? That's true, Susanna. I've had burgers that I've made myself that were amazing, if I do say so myself. But no, you can. If you put together like greens and onions and mushrooms and lots of really good seasoning, you can make a badass burger. Well says, yeah, I guess you're a school teacher. Yeah, I'm a school teacher. B12 Blaze It Vegan says he teaches dance, fighting. Yeah. No, I don't teach fighting. I teach math. Can you believe it? I'm actually a math teacher. Isn't that ridiculous? Elizabeth to Live says, I thought it was pretty good. I could tell it wasn't real meat. The texture was off, but I did enjoy it. Elizabeth, are you referring to the Beyond Meat burger? Because my experience was very different. Do you mean flamenco, well, or flamingo? I think you mean flamenco. Well says, how did old civilizations know exactly about planets in our galaxies? Planets? In our galaxies? You mean planets in our galaxy? Maybe that's what you said and I'm just misreading it. That's a good question. I'm not a scientist. Susanna says, I only like math in school if the teacher was good. Oh, Susanna, you would love my class. You would love my class. You would love to come to math class. Liv says, cool. My friend said the same. She's not vegan, but hubby loves them and he's not vegan. I know, I've heard from both sides of that. I've heard non-vegans go on and on about how delicious the Beyond Meat burger is, and I've heard vegans say they hate it. So it's, you know, I don't know. There's a Canadian product that my friend owns in Calgary called the People Food Patty. It's amazing. You can get it at Brewster's in Vancouver. Ooh, I will look that up. Let me take a picture of that because I'm going to forget. I will take a picture of that and I will find it. Got it. Got it. Thousands of years ago. Yeah, they were smart. You know, there were people like Galileo and people like that. I don't know. They're just smart. They just know these things. And they were right because now we have telescopes to prove that they were correct. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not really sure how they figure all those things out, but they did. Maybe observation. A lot of science was observational back then, wasn't it? Telescopes are a few hundred years old, I know, but I think through observational data and mapping, you can make certain statements or theories, and then they can ultimately be proven. But I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go along. My family was just talking about exactly that earlier, about how they knew about the planets. Well, I mean, you can see things in the sky, right? I mean, we can't nowadays because we live in cities. But there was a time when you could observe the night sky, and you could see stars, you could see planets, you could see a variety of things. Susanna says she needs to try the Beyond Meat burger again. I only had it once and didn't like it, but that's only because I'm so used to the quinoa patties and black bean. Okay, this is what you need to do, Susanna. You need to go out and buy it and make it yourself. And I think you'll be really impressed. Paul says he heard through a friend that the Earth is actually flat and space is not real. Interesting. Space is everywhere, says Well. Space is not everywhere. According to the scientists, it's not. Space, as we know it, is material. So even if you take out all of what you think of to be molecules and atoms, there's still matter. There's still matter. And they don't understand it. It's called dark matter. They don't understand it. But without dark matter, there is no space. So there are areas beyond the known universe that are spaceless, that space does not exist. I know that seems weird. I can't get my head around it, but that's what they say. Yeah. What's all this science talk in the chat? My God, are all you guys smart? Grandma says, dark matter. I have to read about that. Yeah, most of the matter in our universe is dark. We don't understand it. And until we know anything about it, we can't really talk about the ultimate, you know, the ultimate demise of our universe. Paul says he wants to go to Canada and get wasted. Well, you don't have to go to Canada to get wasted, number one, but come to Canada. Come to Canada. Canada. Come to Canada. I started it to prove if I'm not only handsome but intellectual as well. I think Well has a bit of a sense of humor. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. I got a C on my IQ test, B12 says. Ooh, that hurts. That's not good. That can't be good. I'm not sure I did very good on my IQ test either, but you know, you don't have to be all that smart to get along. I think, honestly, I think the happiest people are the least smart people on the planet. That's my theory. You don't want to be too smart. It never leads to anything good. Grandma says, I am going to visit Canada maybe next year. Where are you going to, Grandma? Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal? Where are you going? Shakotan FC. Is it Shakotan? Shakotan FC says, don't come to Edmonton unless you want to know what a Siberian city is like. A Siberian city. Ooh. Susanna knows it's cold here. She hates the cold. Grandma, you got to come to Vancouver. Come to Vancouver. If you come to Vancouver, we'll get together. We'll go and we'll go to Meat, and we will have a big feed at Meat on Main Street. You got to go. Quebec is amazing, Paul. I actually lived in Quebec City for a summer. I studied French for a summer at l'Université Laval, and this was when I was way back in the day when I was like 22 years old. And it was amazing. Quebec is amazing. I was in Montreal last summer. Montreal's awesome. Paul recognizes that there are French girls everywhere. Maybe well needs to hear that. Shako. Kelly, are you in Montreal? Montreal rocks. Yeah, I agree, Todd. If you go to Quebec City and you go to old Quebec, it feels like you're in Europe. And I think the oldest, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Todd, but I believe the oldest street in North America is in Quebec City. The oldest street in North America, that includes the United States, is in Quebec City. Yeah, Montreal is an amazing city as well. I've often thought about moving to Montreal because I'm going to be retiring in probably 5 years or so. And Montreal has some really cheap real estate. Not cheap, but cheaper than Vancouver. The only problem with Quebec is that the taxes are so high. So Quebecers pay a huge amount of taxes. Well says, women have high-pitched voices. Girls like to scream as a child, unlike boys. Reason is women yelled in case of any danger to be saved by men. I love it. Todd says, I don't know that. Yeah, the taxes are high relative to here. I looked it up once. I did the little costing scenario and found that although you get cheaper real estate relative to Vancouver, of course, the property taxes and income taxes are higher. Do you still parler le français? Oui, je parle en français un petit peu. Live the Dream says, well, I know you believe what you're saying. That's how we know you're a dum-dum. BC is extremely expensive. I have to tell you, the condo that I'm in right now, I'm in a condo right now in downtown Vancouver. And this condo, I bought it 12 years ago for just over $500,000 Canadian. And now it's probably somewhere, it just got assessed at 900 and some odd thousand. So it's almost doubled for a condo. It's not even that much. It's not, I mean, I made a video about it too. You guys should check out that video. The title's called My $1 Million Condo or something like that. Move to the South Okanagan. Home prices are so good there. I heard that, okay, maybe South Okanagan, yeah. Humans have a lot of behaviors. Can we determine that there is a certain purpose for all of them? I think there's a purpose to every behavior. Good investment. I seen the video. Very nice. Yeah, Grandma, right? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cash in on this little shack in about 5 years and head east, back home to the Maritime provinces, where you can buy a big house for $200,000, bank the rest, and spend weekends in New York City watching Broadway. If anybody else is retired at that time, meet me in New York. Meet us in New York, right? It's a perfect plan. Move to Thailand. Move to Thailand, Todd says, when you retire. It's so cheap and the people are so kind. I don't think I like the heat. I'm a Canadian person through and through. I like a cooler climate. I wish it was cheaper here in Vancouver. I would choose to stay here. I think what I might do, though, is I'm going to probably transition into teaching yoga. And once I leave teaching school and through my retirement plus teaching yoga, I might be able to afford staying in Vancouver. I don't know. Liv, why don't you Google why women have high-pitched voices? Well, you are really taunting the women in the chat, I have to say, this evening. And they're being pretty nice, ignoring it all, I would say. Women have higher voices because of their vocal cords. Is this a boys against girls thing? I don't know. How can you say more than that? Do you do some yoga YouTube videos? Yeah, I might just actually start like I won't do it on the Plan Eats channel. I'll make some yoga videos and put them on a new yoga channel. This kind of evolutionary theory is all speculation. You guys all sound so intellectual. It's really scary. Cheers. It's Friday. Cheers to the freaking weekend. If you haven't slapped a like on this video, could you slap a like on this live chat? Put a like in the like. Women on steroids have deep voices. Interesting. They do. Yeah, I've noticed that. But that's just testosterone, isn't it? Because the patriarchy accepts girls to talk softly, so they are brainwashed to think that when they are little, oh, I can't follow that. Liv says, so God made it possible for you to ignore us. Elizabeth wants to know what I think about the Jacko Wacko. Yeah, I saw a couple of videos, but I can't really weigh in. I haven't watched enough to really weigh in. Susanna says she started a new job recently and finally have weekends off. So happy Friday to all. Happy Friday. Woohoo! Susanna, what's your new job? Angry Vegan says his name says it all. That's the Wacko Jacko. Sounds like Michael Jackson. Just like the babies have high-pitched voices, it's in case of danger. Grandma says, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, folks. Kelly says, I think I'd like Norway. Ooh, I would too. Myself and my partner are thinking about traveling to Norway, actually. But we'll see. Good morning from Sweden, Andrea says. Good morning, Sweden. We got Sweden in the house. That's awesome. I guess you're not imbibing, Andreas. Maybe a little too early there, I guess. I don't know. I Googled Thailand and it is flat. So I guess there's no skiing in Thailand. Paul says he thought that Wacko Jacko died. And I suspect, Paul, you're thinking that they're referring to Michael Jackson. And I don't think that's who they're referring to. Elizabeth Moore asks the question, how tall are you? How tall do you think I am? Jacko Wacko was hospitalized due to a mental breakdown. Oh, who is Jacko Wacko? I am so behind. It's not even funny. All right, I stop about the women. Wacko Jacko spirit has left us. 411. Jackson is Jacko Wacko. Michael Jackson, is that what we were talking about? I thought you guys were talking about the YouTuber, the vegan YouTuber. No, I'm not 4'11". I'm actually 5'11". I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall. No, he's an ex-vegan. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did you see the video with Veg Source? The claims he said Dr. Furman made about some nano juice. Do you think that was real? Is that a brand new video? Or was it put out a few days ago, Andreas? Because if so, I have seen it. I've seen everything that Jeff puts out. I really like Jeff's channel, actually. I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. I think he's enjoying himself. Elizabeth says 5'6". No, I'm 5'11". If you're asking me, I'm 5'11". Me. Like, do you mean like today? Was it released today, yesterday, Andreas, or like in the last week? Because I did see the one that came out a few weeks ago. Or like I saw the one that came out about a week ago. Susanna is 5'7" tall. Jeff Grandma is Jeff Nelson of Veg Source, and he has a YouTube channel. He's also closely affiliated with people like Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Greger and Dr. McDougall. He's friends with all those guys. Yes, I have heard of Ask Yourself. Men should wear heels. It's only fair. Well, you're not chasing aisles in the grocery store. Hush. Elizabeth says you seem short for some reason. Do you mean me? Elizabeth, do you think I come across short? Question, what do you think of the vegan legend known as Gary the Vegan Carbonator? He's interesting. Liv says, well, I bet you think, oh my God, don't give him that. Don't give him that, Liv. He says he has good points. Actually, can I just say this? I actually don't mind Jordan Peterson. There are some things, like he's annoying and he keeps you on this tangent. And if you listen long enough, he almost like, you know, makes you begin to think that what he's saying is correct. He's just an instigator. He likes to push buttons, right? He lacks kindness. But he's not about kindness. He's about thinking. He likes to think and he likes to push buttons. Jordan Peterson doesn't even know what religion he is. He is no Hitchens. Oh no. Oh my God. Christopher Hitchens. Oh, may he rest in peace. Here is to Christopher Hitchens. That's, I'm assuming, who you're talking about, Paul. Very amazing. Has anybody been to Paris and visited the catacombs where Voltaire is, his body is, and so is Sartre, I guess, isn't he? Nuclear strike. Blame Canada. Still frozen. Canadian Wi-Fi, though. Which 3 foods would you bring with you on a 5-year trip to Mars? Ooh, Beyond Meat Burger, number 1. Number 2, tofu. Number 3, black beans. Number 4, beer. Beer. And number 5, mixed greens. And then you're fine. Mangoes, lentils, and rice. I'm not sure if I agree with that one, but my hair looks like Jimmy Neutron. Yeah. What do you think? Pretty sexy, eh? I got bad hair. I didn't even, you know what? I woke up this morning and went to yoga at 5:30. This is what the hair looked like when I woke up, and this is what the hair looks like 18 hours later. Anti-venom is not vegan, and all I ever hear is special pleading fallacy. When I mention this fact, what's your thoughts? Anti-venom. Jesus, you guys are on the fringe. Elizabeth says she never liked beans. I like a little bit of black beans myself. I think they're healthy. Dying from snake bites is not practical behavior. No, I wouldn't think so. Well says it's natural. What's my stance on honey? Honey is, I don't eat honey. I don't eat honey. I think it's kind of stinky, actually. I don't eat honey. And I do subscribe to the idea that it is not vegan. Honey is not vegan. So I don't eat honey. No. I don't eat honey. Who eats honey in the house? Who eats honey in the house? Vegan honey? Seriously. Vegan honey. What's that all about? Winnie the Pooh made honey look a lot better than it tastes. I agree. I find it stinks. Does anybody find it smelly? Would I eat crickets? Absolutely not. That's disgusting. Although I guess if I was starving to death, I might, but otherwise, absolutely not. Andreas does eat honey. Andreas, are you vegan? Grandma says no honey here. No honey. Elizabeth eats it raw honey. That was good. Can you do any crazy yoga poses? I don't know. What is crazy? Headstands? I can do a headstand. I was trying to teach the class tonight to do crow pose. Do you guys know crow pose? And stand on your ear. And there were a couple of people in the class that were into it, but the rest of them were like, I'm not even going to try that. Men collect honey and women eat it. Okay. I practice Ashtanga yoga. Do you guys know Ashtanga yoga? Do you guys know who Patabi Joyce is? Put a 1 in the chat if you know who Patabi Joyce is. If you do, I'll be really impressed. I do Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is a little more extreme. The practice is done in Sanskrit, so you learn Sanskrit when you practice it, which is very cool in my opinion. To Clate says that's hardcore. It is hardcore. It's a bit more of it's on the more serious side of yoga. You don't actually go to classes. It's called Mysore. So what you do is you show up at the, it's not called a yoga studio. It's called a shala. And You just put your mat down. There's no music or anything. It's really quiet. And then you practice. And then there's teachers there, and they come around and they correct your posture and your poses. And the main teacher, when she or he thinks that you are ready, will add poses to your sequence. And you do the exact same sequence every time. So every time you're practicing, you do the exact same thing. Never changes. And on Friday, you do a lead class. Yeah. 53, Angry Vegan, 53. Oh, I thank you. Anthropologist. Does anybody watch Nikocado Avocado? Who watches Nikocado Avocado? Andrea says no. Nope. Nope. Does anybody watch Trisha Paytas? Just a lot of no's. Wow. Nikocado Avocado is a very interesting character, in my opinion, because he's a former vegan, as you guys know, and he is so outrageous and so entertaining and just, I think, a walking contradiction. A walking contradiction. This is a guy who I think cares so much about things like health and his presentation, yet he will eat his health away in an afternoon. I don't understand it. Yeah, that's right. Grandma mukbang. He does mukbangs. And his mukbangs are pretty, on the McDonald's and Burger King side of things. It's always burgers and French fries and chicken nuggets and proper drishti for upward and downward dog. Are you asking me what the drishti is? Look to nose, look to navel. You're testing me, aren't you? Kelly says unsubscribe from both. I typically don't ever unsubscribe. I know a lot of people will unsubscribe from channels that they're not really into any longer, but I love, it's that love to hate thing. Like, it's fun. Like, I'll stick with a channel and I won't watch them for a while, but I'll usually stick with channels for a long time. I liked him back when he ate mountains of avocados and played with Mr. Noodle, but I'm not into drama type channels. I know, you know what it is? I personally love reality TV. I love reality TV. I love trying to distinguish between when I think a person is being real and natural and when they're playing a game. And I think with Nick, if you watch him, you get that opportunity to really try to analyze the situation. And because sometimes there are some real moments with him, and then there are times when he's just sort of playing it up, right? So he's like a textbook opportunity, reality TV opportunity for people like me who can just, I don't know. There's something wrong with me, obviously, why I would spend this much time watching videos from people like him, but I find it interesting. Susanna says, I can't stand it when people fake cry on camera for attention. Yeah, that happens a lot on YouTube. Live the dream. Yeah, candy and hungry fat chick. Oh my gosh. Those videos are classic. When Nikocado and Hungry Fat Chick Candy go to the Heart Attack Grill, did you guys see that video? You have to watch it. I'm just telling you right now, you have to watch it. He eats a burger that's this tall. It's tall. It was so good. You know, though, he is an amazing musician. He is an amazing musician. You know, you don't have to be a great actor to be on YouTube. You have to be willing to, I guess, make an absolute ass of yourself. But you don't have to be talented. It doesn't require talent. It just requires that you just become completely uninhibited. You got to be willing to be uninhibited. I know. Did you guys see that video about Candy and her explaining her upbringing? Liv, I think you must follow her a little bit because I do too. I watch all this trash shit. You know what I mean? And but it was kind of sad to hear about her situation. Yeah, for sure. Is it Eelke? Elke. Elke says, I always go for third eye and up dog and the navel and down. It does appear there are some folks that go for the nose, like you mentioned. Yeah. I guess it depends on your teacher. People are not going to know what we're talking about here. We're talking about Ashtanga Yoga. Channels like NA and TP, I feel, are more for teens. Seriously. Well, did you actually do that? You bought a full-grown adult baboon. I don't believe you. Have you guys watched the little, it's a channel, it's a YouTube channel, and it's a little monkey. And the monkey's name is Curtis. Have you guys seen that? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen little Curtis on YouTube. Yeah, I've heard him say that too, Elizabeth. I don't believe it. I don't believe that you had a full-grown baboon. I just find that really hard to believe. He gives him a bath and changes. Oh my God. Yeah, Furious Pete, right? How many people here have followed Furious Pete, know his story? Put a 1 in the chat if you've followed or you know the story of Furious Pete. It's pretty intense. It's a pretty intense story. Oh yeah, you saw it too. See, Elizabeth, I can tell you are a YouTube lover. You're like me. You watch everything. Yeah, Curtis. I know. I've seen videos where people will buy monkeys like him, and then they get bigger, and then they get really aggressive. They go through that adolescent period, and then the owner that buys them, if they bring like a date around or a friend, the monkey goes crazy and starts attacking. And then you just can't live with it. Angry Vegan says, what are your thoughts on Vegan Gains versus Furious Pete? I just think that Vegan Gains is a mess when it comes to, you know, kindness and courtesy. And I think even he probably, if he was honest, would have second thoughts on what he said about Furious Pete. Furious Pete lost both testicles. Do you guys know that? So the story is, I know it's pretty graphic, but he used to have these food challenges where he would eat lots and lots of food, and most of it was meat, right, and dairy. And he ended up getting testicular cancer. So he went in and he had one of his testicles removed. And there's no other way to put it other than to just say it like that. And then I'm not sure how much time elapsed. I'm going to say a year or two. He went in for a test, and the test didn't look good. And they discovered that the other testicle was cancerous. So he had to have both of them removed. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but it's pretty sad. Yeah, he lost both. Well, you know, it's easy to say because he did, you know, we don't know. You know, it's really hard to know exactly why people get diseases. And I'm the last person to say, look, you know, you better knock on wood when we, you know, when someone, if you're going to say, look, this is why that person got cancer, then I'd be looking behind my back, because karma's a bitch. You know what I mean? The last thing I'm going to do is say, yeah, there you go. You got what you deserve, because that's a really easy way to set yourself up for some negative energy, in my opinion. I get where you're coming from. I'm not criticizing you, but just, you know, saying to someone who has received a cancer diagnosis that you deserve what you got because you ate cheese is shitty. Okay, it's shitty. I don't care if you're vegan or you're fruitarian. That's a shitty thing to say. I just have to make sure that's really clear from my perspective. Grandma says, I worry about the males in my family, and I have asked them to give up dairy. Yeah. Dairy, apparently, eggs. Did you guys hear this story? If you eat eggs as a diabetic, your chances of getting, and I don't know what, I think it's a certain cancer are like quadrupled. So it's more of a concern for people who are already diabetic than for people who are healthy. Susanna says, I think that Vegan Gains is miserable and depressed. People that are genuinely happy and content in life don't do the things he does just for views. Look, look at Nikocado. Look at Richard. I mean, not everybody does this, thankfully, but if you build a channel on being a shitty person, right, and you get recognition for it and you get rewarded for it, and you're young, these are young guys, right? When they started on YouTube, these guys were in their early 20s. So they're willing to go along with, they don't have other jobs. They're just YouTubers, that's it. So they're willing to sell their soul. So I believe a lot of the stuff that they say and do it's for views. It's for views. And I really do believe Richard regrets saying what he said about Furious Pete. I really do. And I also believe that Nikocado regrets where he is right now. I think he wishes that he didn't have to do what he's doing in order to make, I mean, I estimate Nikocado's probably pulling in, you know, over $500,000 a year for eating McDonald's and letting people watch it. Can you believe it? Elizabeth Moore says, I've eaten 2 eggs a day for my entire life. That's interesting. You know, before I went vegan, I really didn't want to eat eggs. I had a bad vibe. And I'm a firm believer, even though I'm a person of science, that if you believe something is healthy for you, you might actually get some health benefits. You know, the placebo effect. But I think there's also the reverse to that too. I think if you think something is unhealthy, you probably should steer clear of it. B12 says Richard has become more kind over time. I think he has too. Yeah. Dreama Collins says, I have endometrial cancer. I don't think it's because of my diet. My great-grandmother died of it. I think it's genetics. Yeah, I mean, the experts tell us genetics is a big part of why people do get certain diseases. And there's a propensity. I mean, everything works together, of course. But to say that, why someone acquires an illness it's ridiculous. No one knows. Nobody knows. Yeah, the placebo effect. Don't discount the placebo effect. Yeah, Kelly, I've heard that too. Genes can be up and down regulated through your choices, your lifestyle choices. But they too also are pre-programmed, right? So it's nobody. That's the point, is that we don't know. You can't know exactly what causes what. Todd says, I met Richard twice and he's such a nice guy, social, awkward, and a little shy. Right on. Dream is saying, I'm looking at veganism, though, to help cure me. Yeah, that's why not, right? I mean, I certainly would. Yeah, I think when people get on camera, they act to the camera. They're not relating to people because there's no people in front of them. They're relating to a camera, and they're remembering the monetization. So money and a camera is very different than interacting with people. Exactly, Kelly. It's just, we don't know. And so when people, and it's not just vegan gains, but I've heard other people, again, I don't want to be dragging names, but I've heard people on YouTube make some really silly, deductive statements that are just, there's no basis for them. Yeah, your LDL will drop quite a bit when you go on a vegan diet. CBD, does that have something to do with marijuana, CBD? Yeah, I've had that before. It calms you down. I'm sorry to hear that. Is there a problem? Is the CBD, is it a treatment or is it a pain medication? CBD is a pain medication, isn't it? And it also gives you a little bit of a high. Not a high, but it makes you feel chill. Very relaxed and chill. It's like poppers. Oh, it's an immune modulator. Interesting. The endocannabinoid system. Is that an actual system? The endocannabinoid system? Hmm. But to CBD, how does that help with a cancer? Apart from making someone feel better, how does it help? Is what I'm wondering. Helps me. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. The lymphatic the receptors along the lymphatic system. CBD has been shown to fight cancer, but that's nothing compared to broccoli and blueberries. Does anybody fast in the chat? Anybody do any intermittent fasting or day fasting or 3-day fasting? What are your views on fasting? For me personally, I do intermittent fast. I've just gotten into the habit of it. I think I've been doing it now for maybe 3 years, I would say. And I've just gotten into the habit of doing morning yoga practice, then I get a big coffee, and then I probably don't eat until at least 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It just feels good. I wouldn't do it if I felt uncomfortable or if I was starving to death. I don't really feel super hungry, and then I wait and I eat when I'm hungry. Susanna says, no fasting. I like food. Dreama says, I do. Captain 5214 says, no fasting for me. Dreama has done a 3-day. I've tried 3 days. I couldn't do 3 days. I got 2 days in, 2.5 days in, and I was like, I got to eat. Kelly gets too hungry. Just drink a lot to fight the hunger. Yeah. Yeah, you got to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Like, just keep your belly full. But I think it's I'm not encouraging anybody to fast. But what I would say is that if you regularly start eating at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 11 o'clock in the morning, your body adapts. So if you did that for 2 weeks, eventually you wouldn't get those hunger pangs. You would just adapt to the new situation. Angry Vegan says, I intermittent fast all the time. It doesn't even feel like fasting because I often don't feel like eating until late in the day. I'm the same way, Angry Vegan. I'm exactly the same way. I usually don't feel, I mean, I could eat, but I really like delayed gratification too. That's a part of my personality. I like to delay gratification. Vitamin D is what a lot of lack without knowing. I have done 5 days 33 years ago. It was easy. I certainly have no plans to do. I don't know if I could do 5 days. I think for me, a day is nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, occasionally you might just choose to have a day where you let your digestive system rest, but longer term, I don't know if I'm skinny. I'm already thin, so for me, it's hard to go without food that long. Kelly says she eats late in the day too. Don't have breakfast. No, I think a lot of people are like that, Kelly. I think the now people are saying that really that's probably the new normal is intermittent fasting. Angry Vegan says, sometimes I like to eat just fruit for a day or two. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Susanna says, vitamin D isn't a problem if you live in a hot climate. Yeah, I mean, I don't live in a hot climate. And for me, I do take vitamin D supplementation. So for me, I take between 2,000 and 3,000 international units of vitamin D every day. It's hard to get enough sun. It's hard to get enough exposure to the sun here in Canada. And so we get a couple of months, but most of the year, you know, you probably need to be supplementing, in my opinion. Kelly says she eats too much peanut butter. Oh my God, me too. If I don't eat peanut butter, I'm eating this. Peanuts. I'm like addicted to either peanuts or peanut butter. Honestly, I'm addicted. Totally addicted to peanuts and peanut butter. Speaking of which, yeah, me too. That sounds good, Susanna. Can I come over? Hell yeah. Oh my God, that'd be fun. Fruit leather. What the f is that? What the hell is that? Peanut butter sandwich with a glass of cashew milk. My go-to snack. Absolutely. Although lately, you know what I've been doing is not having it in a sandwich, but just eating it with like, just eating it like a peanut butter popsicle. Do you guys like peanut butter popsicles? Take like a spoon and just peanut butter and put it in the freezer. Melted peanut butter on warm bread. Oh my God. Homemade bread. It's the best. With almond milk. So good. Liv says she's not supposed to eat wheat. How come? Peanut butter toast. I used to be known as the peanut butter man at school because I ate so much peanut butter on toast. Loved it. I still love it. It's amazing. Pasta's okay in moderation, right? What's wrong with pasta? Pasta's awesome. Garlic is very important. Tofu doesn't make good steaks. I just like tofu. How many people in the house like tofu? Slap a 1 in the chat if you like tofu. Just tofu, like, seasoned your favorite way. Who likes tofu? 2? Give me a break. So many people do. Love it. Tofu's so good. How can you not love tofu? My God. My God. How could you be vegan and not eat tofu? What would you eat, for God's sakes? Potatoes? I mean, you know, at some point, you know, enough with potatoes. Sometimes you just want something just good. Sunrise is the worst tofu brand. Yeah, they're not the best. Sweet chili sauce and tofu is so good. You know what I love? Tofu and soy sauce. I'm like so basic with my eating, like super, super basic. Spongy, yeah. Yeah, different tofus have different textures, eh? Sometimes they're like rubbery, and then sometimes they're more textury, like, I don't know how to explain it. Jade, that sounds good. That sounds so good. Mommy Tang says eat simple. I love Mommy Tang. Her daughters, like, oh my God. Oh my God. Her daughters are the cutest little bugs on the planet. They're so beautiful. Their little smiles are so cute. Well says, are you single or not? No, I'm not single. I'm taken. Someone snatched me up. Extra firm. Yeah, extra firm. I don't like soft. No, none of that soft shit. Super, super firm. Yeah. Super, super firm. Super firm. I'm making a mess. I did. I overheard a lady at the restaurant once talking about how Mommy Tang convinced her to go vegan. Right on. She's making videos again, right? She's back on YouTube, which is awesome. So awesome. I think Well needs a date. Well, you need to put your statistics down so the ladies in the chat know what they're dealing with. Maybe you could even pop a picture of yourself. I need a weak female. Oh my God. A weak female. You need a strong female to slap you around, I think. I think you're cruising for a bruising. Or a hug, yeah. Yeah, you need a vegan lady. you need a, oh gosh, shit. Peanuts everywhere. Grandma, it was so nice to have you in the chat tonight. I love you. God. No, I'm too stupid. And I don't care enough. If that question's toward me, would I want to go on those shows to debate veganism? No. Because I don't want to talk about it. They just want to win. And I'm not interested in winning anything. I'm more interested in talking about it. You know what I mean? Well, you never ask a lady her age. That's probably why you're single. I totally hear you, Dreama. Oh, Unisoya. I'll have to try it. I know. Who's working in the morning? I'm not. Should we stay up all night? Everybody go get their pajamas on. And get a big bag of peanuts. You too, Jade. That's disgusting. Susanna is in her jammies. So am I. Everybody needs to go get in their pajamas right now. I do. I take B12 and I take vitamin D and I take DHA. DHA. So I don't think vegans do a lot of supplementing, but I think they do some. I think the only one you really have to is B12. But the rest, I mean, if you're out in the sunshine, if you live in San Diego, you're fine. But if you live in Vancouver, you probably should take a supplement. But that's not a vegan issue. That's just a human issue, right? But I don't know if it matters. I've heard that B12 supplementation, there's no proof that it actually is effective. So there you go. But B12, all the doctors say you should take B12. So I am taking B12. Yeah, natural factors. And then this one is the Metho. So you can do the metho and the cyano or whatever the hell. And the metho is you just put it under your tongue and it melts. Just melts. So True Vegan has the B12. I know, eh? Oh yeah, here it is. That wasn't planned. It was just there. All vegans have B12, little things all over the house. 7 or 8 of them. No matter where you are, there's a B12 tablet, just in case. It's a good one. Well says, thanks for letting me be me, bro. Well, you have a gentle energy coming off you. It's how I assess the situation. Yeah, exactly. What is natural? I don't know what that means. I don't even know what that means. I really do not know. Yeah, exactly. He's a decent troll, right? Like, well, you're our troll. You're a good troll. Humans are not natural. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my other half is going to be home in a little while, and he hates YouTube. He hates when I'm on YouTube. So I'm going to shine off now. But thank you for joining me on Friday night. I really appreciate it. Well says, I live a lonely life. I own 3 oil fields, but the women I meet are shallow, just out for my wealth. You've suddenly become a lot more interesting. If you're that rich, then can you like buy us plane tickets to your place and like we can hang out with you? We'll party. He says we can. We can meet you in the middle. We will fly there, but you can put us up in the lap of luxury. Only once. We won't use you. We're just once. Good night, Kelly. Good night, Elkie. Nice chatting, Kelly. Good night, vegan family. I love you guys. Good night.